Hi! It has been nearly a year since I have sat down and spoken to you guys. I expect that a lot of people have left, new people have come, vice versa, you know, everything's happened. So, for those of you who don't know, I am Ali, I suffer from a lot of mental health problems, and this channel is to spread mental health awareness and to just give some education as well, really. All information is literally through my own personal experiences. I do not claim to be a medical health professional in any sort of way. I did a whole video ages ago of all the sorts of things that I have to deal with on a regular basis. If you'd like to watch that video to catch up, some things have changed, but a lot of the core things that I am suffering from are still exactly the same. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. We will be talking about depression, eating disorders, suicidal tendencies, self-harm, PTSD, anxiety. If you're triggered by any of those things or anything with regards to mental health, then please do not watch this video. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Grab yourself a cup of tea, chill out, sit down, have a bath, have a nice bath bomb, anything. Just come and chat with me, and I'll try my best to give as much information from my own experiences as I possibly can. So, obviously this video is more aimed towards positive coping strategies, but I will just highlight some of the negative coping strategies that are very destructive and not good for recovery at all. I'm still stuck in doing some of these because they become very repetitive, some of them become addictive. It's very difficult to get out of that hole. Yeah, I'm just, again, talking about my experiences with both things, and we'll talk about the positive coping strategies as well that will help towards your own personal recovery as they're helping towards my recovery. Negative ones. All negative coping strategies are sort of under an umbrella that deems them a quick fix, self-destructive, and they're not really doing anything to help you progress with your recovery or to get out of the state that you're in at the moment. If anything, they prolong the state that you're in, but from the immediate response that your brain gets from doing these things, it sees it as a good thing that it's helping, but it's only for the very, very, very short term. It's not doing anything for you long term. But it's understandable why people are attracted to these coping strategies, because it is just biological for your brain to want to do anything that can be seen as escapism, anything to just escape the here and now, even if it's for a super short time. It's completely normal and it's completely natural for our brains to do, which is why it's even harder when it comes to fighting those things, because it's what you naturally want to do. So some of the things that I have experienced personally with in this sort of area is alcohol abuse, self-harm, suicidal tendencies. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. A lot of things come under the term self-harm. You could even say that alcohol abuse is under that term, because that's basically what negative coping strategies are. And very often they're causing harm to yourself. Just know that especially with self-harm, I have a lot of experience with it, going back years and years and years and years, since about 10 years now actually. Alcohol abuse has been sort of a recent thing. If you want to see a video on my journey through alcohol abuse and sobriety and relapsing and stuff like that, I'd be more than happy to make a video about that. Positive coping strategies. I have a lot of experience, nearly as much with positive coping strategies as I do with negative. Obviously negative have been going on for a very long time, and it's only really within the past year and a half that I've started exploring positive things to help my recovery and help my state of mind, etc. The thing that's very difficult to do is substituting the negative for the positive. So even when I was doing a lot of positive things, I would still make room for negative things, because in a warped and twisted sense, point of view, it's almost like you look forward to doing the negative things because you know the release that you're going to get from them straight away, and it's very often an instant release. I've had people say to me that, you know, they feel so weird and dark and twisted because they enjoy the bad things that they're doing to themselves. I'm talking about stuff like self-harm, and it's completely normal because of the instant release you're getting from that. It's normal that you will look forward to that, because for people that are at a constant level throughout the whole day, they have no highs and lows a lot of the time, especially with PTSD and depression. You're numb a lot of the time, completely numb. You can't feel sad, you can't cry, you can't be happy. Nothing that you used to enjoy do you enjoy anymore. And so very often it's behaviors like this that give you some sense of living almost, and so it's so normal for people to look forward to doing these things. But again, that doesn't make it the right thing to do. This whole video is that obviously negative behaviors are not the right way to go about things. It's not what you want to do if you want to move forward, if you want to start recovering. Positive things take a lot of time to build up and a lot of time to change the neurochemicals in your brain. To get a natural high, I guess. It's like people who work out a lot, they will very often, it releases endorphins, it makes them feel really good about themselves. But it takes a long time to build that up, I feel, especially for me anyway. I don't know if that's the case with everyone, but for me it takes a long time to be able to achieve the release of those endorphins to make me feel good when I've been doing something positive. So naturally I was still going back to negative things to get the instant release, and it's all just about sort of starting off with positive, still doing both, because that's okay, because it's a whole recovery process, and a lot of these things are addicting. You need to come off them slowly and just cut them down and replace them with more and more positive until eventually you don't feel like you need the negative things anymore. Now I'm going to say some positive strategies that have personally worked for me, and I am by no means the figurehead for practicing positive behaviors, because I go back and forth all the time. I have a good period of time where I'm doing them every day and it's super regular and it's starting to build up and I start feeling really good about myself, and then I'll have a bad day, not because of a result of the positive behaviors, just mentally I'll have a very bad day, be mentally exhausted, just drained, and I'll stop. And I found with me personally, if I stop for one day, I lose it. I genuinely it just goes, and I have to start from square one again. And very often it's starting from square one again that is so difficult. So the main thing here is that if you're having a bad day, you don't have to overdo it or anything. You don't have to do hours of positive behaviors. You don't have to practice them throughout the whole day for 12 hours. You can do them even for 30 minutes, even for 20, for 10 even. As long as you still do it, it keeps you in the routine, and you're very less likely to stop practicing these things. I think the first thing I'm going to start with is anything physical, like physical hobbies, stuff that you can do with your hands, I find is so effective, especially for overcoming self-harm tendencies, because you're still doing something with your hands and you're keeping your mind occupied, but it's not so much that it's draining. You don't have to concentrate intently on something. So some of the things that have worked for me in that category would be coloring. I have several coloring books and I used to color a lot. It's great because I can listen to a podcast, I can listen to an audiobook, I can have something on TV in the background. I find that coloring is very good, and for me personally, if I have more than one sense occupied at a time, very lightly occupied, it's a lot more effective, because sometimes you can be doing something with your hand and your mind's wandering, and it still allows it to go to those places that you're trying to spend less time in. Another thing is knitting. I started knitting again quite recently, and that's also very good. I like doing that, and again, listening to something in the background. But it's a lot more rewarding as well than colouring, because essentially you're creating something out of nothing. So any sorts of things like that, I know some people garden, I know some people crochet, anything physical that is very much away from technology, just for a bit, is very grounding. I'm going to talk a little bit about escapism as well. So like I said before, a lot of the negative things are about escaping from the here and now. And I have a lot of things that I do, positive things, that are my own ways of escaping. So for example, it can be something as simple as reading a book. I find books a lot nicer than Kindles or ebooks, because I like the physical feel of the book in my hands and turning the pages. Again, it's just working on the multiple senses thing. Playing video games is another one. It's very much anything that takes you out of the real world for a little bit, that's positive. So any sort of hobbies like that, even like watching films or TV shows, they can be used as an example as well. Now I'm going to talk about grounding, and I've mentioned it literally just now. For those of you who don't know what grounding is, it's used a lot during anxiety attacks and dissociation. I'm going to do a whole video on what dissociation is at some point in the future, because there's a lot of science around it, and even though it's awful to experience, it's also very fascinating because it shows how clever the mind is. But for a brief description, dissociation, I very often describe it as like I'm in a dream. Nothing seems real, and when people describe it, it often makes them feel crazy or sound crazy, but it's not. It's a very, very natural thing. Grounding is especially important for dissociation and, like I said, anxiety attacks, etc. And it's basically about bringing you back to your body, to the here and now, and it sounds very like airy-fairy, but it's very effective. So examples of grounding: the main one that therapists will teach their clients very often is the 5 senses technique. I think that's what it's called. I can't quite remember the actual term, but it's something like you'll go around, if you're in a room, it can be done anywhere. You're in a room and you feel like you're starting to panic, or you're starting to feel very spaced out, an extreme one or the other. And you'll go around the room and you'll name 5 things that you can see. You'll name 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. But it doesn't really, these aren't things that you have to stick to orders and stuff like that, or stick to numbers. It's just an example. The idea of that is to really make you aware of your surroundings, and even to make you very aware of where you are, what you're doing, how your body's feeling at this time, and that there's essentially nothing harmful that's going to happen right now. Of all the senses, the thing that works for me the most is touch. So very often I'll skip the other senses if this is what I'm doing, if I'm in a moment where I need to calm myself down and stuff, and I'll purely focus on touch. I might even just fiddle with my hands. I might look for hard surfaces, so there's a chest of drawers here, it's a little bit rough on the side. I might just feel that for a bit, or I'll feel something very, very soft, but really concentrate on how it feels on your skin. A lot of these things is just remembering to do them, because very often if I get in a very panicked state and I'm on my own, I don't remember to do any of this, because my rationality is completely gone. So I just forget to do all of them. But again, the more that you practice them, it's very, very good to have someone with you, or if you're feeling panicky, find someone that you trust, or ring someone that you trust. It's very helpful if you go places with someone you trust, and just let them know that if you get in that state, just let them know of the best things that can bring you out of that. And then they can remind you and talk you through them. Very likely get into the routine of doing it yourself and being able to remind yourself of it. Oh, we're panicking, this is what we do. And don't even think about it. Your brain just sort of knows that this is what calms me down. I'm going to do this. Another grounding thing that is very, very simple, is just walking barefoot. If it's like in the summer and you've got a nice garden or something, just walk barefoot in the grass. I find it very, very grounding. And even like if you just walk barefoot around the house, if it's safe to do so, obviously, if you've got carpets, just feel like the carpet with your foot and your toes and stuff like that. Even cold floors. Cold floors are good as well, which brings me on to talk about temperature changes, which again I feel is also very, I put it under grounding, because that's what it does. So very often these things sort of work more if you're dissociating or if you feel like you're going to dissociate. Sometimes I will hold a piece of ice in my hand, and it's perfectly safe, obviously, and it's like the sudden shock of the cold will bring you back, because very often your body's like, oh, this is different, this is new, what's going on? So it will ground you, and it's often very instant with temperature changes. I think that is it for this video. I do hope that you found this helpful and educational and insightful and just got a bit more information to help you with your recovery or wherever you are in life. If you would like to see more of me, then please subscribe, and if you did like the video, then hit the thumbs up button, turn on notification bells, blah blah blah. Apparently I'm on YouTube, so I have to say all of these things. That's what a YouTuber does. Not that I class myself as a YouTuber, I'm just here to spread awareness. I'm also very active on Twitter and Instagram, they'll be linked down below, and I can promise you that the next video is going to be a lot sooner than a year away, because I definitely want to make more things, regular things, just to spread awareness and to help other people, give other people information that they need, that they can't get elsewhere. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.